Hi, my name is Moyes, and welcome back to another episode from the Empire History series, the Ottoman Empire. And today we're going to be talking about Orhan Ghazi. Now, Orhan Ghazi was born in 1281. He was the son of the founder of the Ottoman Empire, Osman, and he was also the son of Malun Hatun, who is his mum. And he was born in 1281. His reign was till 1362, until his death in 1362, and his reign was 36 years long. He was born in Sogud, the town of Sogud, northwest Anatolia, to modern day Turkey, and his reign was from 1323 or 4 till 1362 till his death. In the early stages of his reign, Orhan focused his energy to conquer the northwestern region of Anatolia, or most of it, and his first battle was the Battle of Pelekanon against Andronikos III, who was the Byzantine emperor at the time. And he also took over lands from the Karasids, which were another Turkish tribe of Balikashir, and also the Ahis of Ankara. Ahis are an Islamic guild, and we'll look more into that later on. Orhan, almost immediately after Osman Ghazi's death in 1323-1324, wanted to share the emerging empire with his brother Alauddin, but his brother didn't wish to do so because Osman Ghazi's wish was for Orhan to be the sole successor to the empire, to the throne. But what Alauddin did get is a bit of shares in revenue from a village near Bursa. Orhan then told his brother, "Be the shepherd of my people, be my vizier," meaning vizier, meaning bearer of my burden, bearer of the burden. And even though Alauddin didn't command the armies in person, what he did was manage them behind the scenes. So the management of civil and military institutions. Now that Alauddin was appointed as vizier for Orhan, this is where the Ottomans stopped acting as vassals for the Seljuk state. So they no longer used the Seljuk state currency. They no longer mentioned the Seljuk ruler in Friday prayers. And in 1327, a man named Kara Hilal started minting coins for the Ottoman Empire. And of course, on the coins was the face of Orhan. And Alauddin also made laws to respect and abide by the costumes of the various subjects in the Ottoman Empire. And this is where the janissaries, you could say, came in. But they weren't called janissaries at the time. They were called Yahya or Biade. And what this was a corps of tens of hundreds of thousands of troops readily available at any given moment, paid infantry for to go out to military campaigns, to wars. At the time of Ertugrul and Osman, this wasn't the case. They were just volunteers or people that are banded together for the sole purpose of going to war and then disbanded after the war. But this infantry was ready to use and ready to fight at any given moment, giving them a strong army to have a stronghold at their bases as well as going to military campaigns. As we already know, Orhan's goal during the early start of his early reign was to capture the Byzantine territories in the northwest Anatolian region. So during Osman's lifetime, going a bit further back, in 1321 he captured Mudanya. He then sent a column under Konur Alp towards the West Black Sea coast, and another column under Akida to capture Kocaeli, and finally a column to capture southeast coast of Marmara. Then he captured Bursa by persuading his Byzantine commander to defect with the help of Turgut Bey. That commander that was told to defect is now converted to as Everenos Bey. He became a commander of light cavalry, and he and his sons and grandsons led Ottoman troops into the Balkans. Once Bursa was captured, Orhan sent cavalry towards the Bosphorus, capturing Byzantine towns on the Marmara coast. Ottoman forces laid siege to Nicaea, second only to Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, in the Byzantine Empire. In 1329, Byzantine Emperor Andronikos III led a mercenary army to try and relieve Nicaea and regain Kocaeli. This was known as the Battle of Pelekanon, now Dareka, on 10th or 15th of June, 1329. Orhan's disciplined troops routed the Byzantines, therefore, Andronikos abandoned the idea of getting Kocaeli back and never again conducted a battlefield battle against the Ottoman forces. Nicaea surrendered to Orhan after a 3 year siege that concluded in 1331. Orhan captured Nicomedia in 1337. Orhan gave the command of Nicomedia to his eldest son of Suleiman Pasha, who had directed the operations of the siege. In 1338, Orhan captured Scutari, now Uskudar. Most of northwest Anatolia is now in Ottoman hands. In 1345, there was a change of strategy. So instead of going for the lands of non Muslims and conquering them, Orhan managed to make a plan to go and conquer the principality of the Keresi tribe, which was the towns of Balikesher and Bergama. Orhan's Ottoman principality had four provinces: the original land of Sogod and Eskişehir, Bursa and Iznik, Izmit, and Balikesher and Bergama. During the Byzantine Civil War of 1341 to 1347, surrounding the ascension of 9-year-old Emperor John V Palaeologos, the regent John VI Kantakouzenos married his daughter Theodora to Orhan. Kantakouzenos employed Ottoman warriors against the rival Empress Dowager, allowing them to loot Thrace. During the Byzantine Civil War of 1352 to 1357, Kantakouzenos used Ottoman forces against John V, granting them the use of the European fortress of Simpe around 1352. The Byzantine Civil War of 1341 to 1347 dissipated the last resources of the Byzantine Empire. The auxiliary armies of the emirs of Turkish principalities were frequently called over and employed in Europe. Emperor John VI Kantakouzenos recognized Orhan as the most powerful sovereign of all Turks. He aspired to attach the Ottoman forces permanently to his interests and hoped to achieve this by giving his daughter Theodora in marriage to their ruler, despite differences of creed and the disparity of age. Now, the wedding between Orhan and Theodora at Silambria is elaborately described by Byzantine writers. Orhan and Theodora visited his imperial father-in-law at Uskudars, the suburb of Constantinople on the Asiatic side of the Bosphorus. However, this close relationship with the Byzantines soured from a series of raids by Turkoman bands that crossed the Marmara Sea and Dardanelles and pillaged several towns in Thrace. A long 20-year period of peace followed the acquisition of Keresi. During this time, the Ottoman sovereign actively pursued the endowing of mosques and schools, and also perfecting the civil and military institutions. And Orhan didn't go on any conquests, apart from the fact that he went and acquired Ankara from the Ahis, which is an Islamic Turkish guild of people. This is the only conquest that happened during this 20-year period. A major earthquake 2 years later hit the modern city of Gelibolu, which at the time was called Gallipoli, and therefore all the inhabitants of the city of Gelibolu and the castle of Cinbi had evacuated from the place. And Suleiman Pasha, the eldest son of Orhan, used this to his advantage and took hold of the region and occupied it. And this enabled the Ottomans to have a strong foothold in the European part of Anatolia, as well as in Europe at the Dardanelles Strait. No matter how much John VI wanted the castle back, he used financial inducements. He pleaded to Orhan Ghazi, who at the time was ill and due to age, he couldn't really do anything about it, and it was either rejected. The offer was either rejected, or it was just due to Orhan being ill. The last years of Orhan Ghazi. Orhan Ghazi was the longest living and one of the longest reigning of the future Ottoman sultans. In his last years, he had left most of the powers of the state in the hands of his second son Murad and lived a secluded life in Bursa. Why is it in the hands of the second son? Well, you'll find out a bit later, because in 1356, Orhan and Theodora's son Khalid was abducted on the Bay of Izmit, a Genoese commercial boat captain who was conducting acts of piracy and was able to capture the young prince and take him to Phocaea on the Aegean Sea. Orhan was very much upset and conducted talks with his brother-in-law and now sole Byzantine Emperor John V Palaiologos, who took a Byzantine naval fleet to Phocaea, paid the ransom back of 100,000 hyperpyra, and brought Khalil back to Ottoman lands. Now, why didn't Orhan give the reins of his empire to his eldest son, Suleiman Pasha, and instead to Murad? Well, that, my friend, is because in 1357, Suleiman Pasha fell off his horse and sustained injuries, which led to his death in Bolayir on the coast of the Sea of Marmara. This greatly affected Orhan and made him question his sanity and really drove him a bit mad, but due to the unexpected death of his eldest son. As for Orhan himself, he passed away soon after from natural causes. It seems rather likely that the death of his son was taxing on his health. However, Orhan is said to have passed away in either 1360 or 1362 in Bursa at the age of 80 after a reign of 36 years. He is buried in a tomb with his wife and children called Jumostu Gumbet in Bursa. Thanks for watching and making it to the end of this video, and thank you for watching the Empire series of the Ottomans, Orhan Ghazi. And please like, subscribe, and peace.